Hello friends. There's something timeless, almost mythic, about the connection between a Leo man and a Pisces woman. It's the story of fire meeting water, sunlight touching the ocean, and two souls who seem to speak different emotional languages, yet somehow hear each other perfectly. Their compatibility is far from straightforward. It's a tapestry woven from instinct, intuition, passion, and gentleness. After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the Thanks button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Let's dive deep, very deep, into what happens when the lion and the mermaid attempt to love one another. Chemistry. Initial attraction. When a Leo man first encounters a Pisces woman, the chemistry doesn't just appear, it glows. Yet what seems like a simple glow at first expands into something far more layered, more intricate, more soul-deep than either of them consciously realizes. He notices her softness right away, the kind of softness that feels like it has a past, a story, a constellation of emotions suspended just beneath the surface. Her dreamy eyes don't simply look at him, they seem to look through him, as though she's reading the unspoken lines of his inner world. Her subtle smile carries an almost old-fashioned gentleness, the kind that feels rare in a world that moves too fast, speaks too loudly, and notices too little. Being near her is like stepping into a quiet meadow after a long, exhausting day. Not because the world falls silent, but because she is the silence that puts everything back into balance. She isn't loud, nor does she need to be. Her silence itself has gravity. Her shyness is not timidity, it's mystery, like the hush right before an orchestra begins to play. And he feels all of this within seconds. Pisces, on the other hand, is instantly charmed by Leo's warmth, but not in the shallow, passing way that people are often drawn to charisma. His warmth has a substance to it, a confidence that is not arrogant but simply assured, grounded, alive. It's as if he carries his own personal sun, not blinding but invigorating, not scorching but life-giving. His presence feels like the first shaft of sunlight entering a darkened room, making everything brighter without asking for permission. She admires his courage, not because courage impresses her, but because she senses the honesty behind it. She sees his straightforwardness as a rare kind of integrity. She notices the way he walks into a room as though every door was built just for him, not out of entitlement but because he has the kind of spirit that refuses to shrink. And next to him, she feels protected, not because she is fragile, but because she rarely meets someone whose strength doesn't overshadow her sensitivity but instead makes space for it to unfold. She feels, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that there is someone strong enough to guard her emotional world without trying to own it. But their initial attraction is far more than physical. It is energetic, almost metaphysical. There is something ancient in the way their spirits respond to each other, as if they've danced through lifetimes in different forms, always meeting at the point where fire touches water without destroying it. Leo represents everything Pisces wishes she were brave enough to be: bold, unapologetically passionate, fiercely protective of what he loves, unwilling to dim his brightness for anyone. She doesn't want to be him, but she is endlessly inspired by the way he exists in the world. And Pisces represents everything Leo secretly wishes he could allow himself to feel. The softness he hides under his pride, the vulnerability he buries beneath his confidence, the dreaminess he denies himself in favor of being strong. She is his reminder that strength isn't always loud. Their complementarity is magnetic. She softens his edges, not by dulling them, but by showing him that he doesn't need to be sharp all the time. He lights her path, not by overpowering her, but by guiding her out of the shadows she slips into when the world feels too overwhelming. Together, they create a balance that neither could achieve alone. His fire brings her warmth, her water brings him peace. From the very beginning, their connection feels guided, fated, almost cinematic, the kind of quiet, natural chemistry that makes strangers pause and think, they're meant to be. There is an elegance to their interaction, an ease that feels unplanned yet inevitable. Leo senses that she carries an entire ocean of emotions within her, and instead of being intimidated, he feels honored to be invited into its depths. Pisces senses that he carries a blazing, loyal heart inside him, and instead of being overwhelmed, she feels safe enough to stand close to the flame without fear of being burned. He is drawn to her softness, but also to her strength, the strength she doesn't advertise, the strength that lives in her ability to feel deeply and remain gentle. She is drawn to his boldness, but also to his vulnerability, the vulnerability hidden behind his pride, the part of him that longs to be truly seen, not merely admired. Their first conversations feel like the unfolding of a story already written but newly remembered. Their pauses are comfortable, their glances linger longer than necessary, their gestures reveal more than their words. He leans in without realizing it. She looks down and then back up without meaning to. Their attraction is not a spark, it is a glow that slowly expands, filling the space between them with a warmth neither expected but both instantly recognize. Leo finds himself intrigued, almost enchanted, by the way she moves through the world with a kind of softness that never feels weak. Pisces finds herself captivated by the way he stands tall, not to intimidate but to protect, to inspire, to uplift. He feels her emotions before she speaks them. She senses his intentions before he explains them. Even without touching, they feel each other's presence as though their energies have already intertwined. Their chemistry is not loud or chaotic. It is steady, magnetic, poetic. It is the kind of chemistry that doesn't demand attention but effortlessly draws it. The kind that doesn't fade but deepens. The kind that feels less like attraction and more like recognition, the recognition of a soul that complements your own. And from the very beginning, even before they fully understand it, they know they are standing at the edge of something life-changing. Emotional dynamics. This is where their relationship becomes both beautiful and complicated, but to truly understand the emotional dynamics between a Leo man and a Pisces woman, you have to look deeper than the simple contrast of fire and water. You have to see the inner landscapes behind their hearts, the hidden desires beneath their behaviors, the vulnerabilities they don't show the world but reveal, slowly, cautiously, to each other. A Leo man loves boldly, but boldly doesn't just mean loudly. His emotions rise like flames, bright, expressive, impossible to ignore, yes, but also warm, protective, and capable of illuminating the darkest corners of a room. When he loves, he doesn't step forward, he leaps. His passion is not random impulse but focused devotion. He wants to be understood, admired, and celebrated for who he is because, deep down, he loves from a place of pure authenticity. When he gives his heart, he gives all of it, fiercely, proudly, without hesitation. And he feels most loved when someone makes him the emotional center of their world, not because he is egotistical, but because he needs to feel that his efforts, his loyalty, his fire truly matter. A Pisces woman loves quietly, but her quietness is not silence, it is symphony. Her emotions flow like water, subtle, shapeless, ever-changing, often felt in gestures rather than words, in intuition rather than logic. She sees emotional truth before it is spoken. She senses needs before they are expressed. She feels her partner's moods as if they are ripple effects across her own inner sea. She expresses love through softness, through understanding, through small acts of care that seem invisible to others but profoundly meaningful to those attuned to her wavelength. She feels loved when someone protects her emotional sensitivity rather than demanding explanations she cannot always articulate. Her love, though gentle, runs to the deepest depths. Here lies their challenge, and their greatest strength. Leo is fire, Pisces is water. Fire needs oxygen, space, and attention. Water needs calm, safety, and emotional resonance. Their emotional rhythms are different, almost opposite. If they don't understand each other, Leo may think she's too sensitive, too elusive, too impossible to pin down. He may feel like she disappears into her own inner world just when he needs her presence the most. Pisces may think he's too demanding, too intense, too loud. She might retreat in self-protection, overwhelmed by the intensity of his emotional expression. Leo's directness can overwhelm her, not because she can't handle honesty, but because she processes emotions like tides, in waves, not sparks. Pisces' emotional depth can drown him, not because he is shallow, but because he is accustomed to flames, not oceans. Yet when they do understand each other, something truly magical happens, something rare, transformative, almost alchemical. Leo learns compassion. He learns that not all love needs to be shouted from mountaintops. He learns to slow down, to listen, to interpret the language of feelings instead of expecting blunt honesty. Pisces teaches him the emotional undercurrents beneath words, the hidden meanings in pauses, the significance of silence, the way a single soft gesture can mean more than 1,000 declarations. He begins to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it is courage of a different kind. Pisces learns courage. She learns to stand taller, to speak more clearly, to protect her own needs without hiding behind her emotions. Leo teaches her that being strong doesn't make her any less gentle, it simply helps her survive in a world that often demands too much. She discovers the power in expression, in saying, "This hurts me," or "I need this from you," or "I matter too." Through Leo, she finds the bravery to lift her voice rather than retreat into her inner sea. Together, they learn emotional balance, passion softened by empathy, empathy strengthened by passion. They become two forces that do not destroy one another but refine one another. His fire warms her waters, preventing her from becoming lost in her depths. Her water cools his flames, keeping him from burning too brightly too quickly. He teaches her confidence. She teaches him tenderness. He teaches her to rise. She teaches him to sink, not in defeat, but in introspection. He teaches her to roar. She teaches him to listen. Their emotional dynamic is not simple, but it is beautiful, a dance between boldness and subtlety, strength and vulnerability, expression and intuition. And when they truly learn to understand each other, their emotional bond becomes not just strong, but transformative, a union that elevates both of them into fuller, more balanced versions of themselves. Long-term compatibility. In the long run, Leo and Pisces can form a surprising, soulful, lifelong bond, but not without conscious effort, self-awareness, and a sincere willingness to understand one another beyond the surface-level traits that initially attract them. Longevity for these two signs is not a coincidence, it is a journey. A journey of learning, adapting, growing, and allowing their vastly different emotional worlds to intertwine in ways that expand them both. Their long-term compatibility is like the blending of two elemental forces that traditionally clash, fire and water, yet in this rare configuration, they create steam, warmth, movement, and a kind of emotional alchemy that enriches both lives. Leo brings stability to the relationship, but not just the practical kind. His steadiness extends into the emotional and psychological territories as well. He is the constant presence that Pisces can rely on when her emotions become too fluid or unsettled. His unwavering loyalty becomes the solid ground she can stand on. His sense of direction gives their shared life not only purpose but structure, something that Pisces often needs more than she admits. And yet, his stability is not immovable rigidity. It is a deliberate, intentional choice to remain committed, consistent, and grounded even when the currents of life shift unexpectedly. In long-term love, Leo becomes the one who says, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere," and he proves it through his actions, his words, and his daily devotion. Pisces, meanwhile, brings flexibility, not the weak, passive kind, but the adaptive, emotionally intelligent kind that allows the relationship to bend without breaking. Her emotional wisdom helps her read the subtle shifts in Leo's moods long before he speaks of them. Her creativity infuses their shared life with imagination, warmth, and meaning, transforming what could be a rigid path into one rich with color, fluidity, and emotional depth. She offers spiritual insight, intuitive guidance, and a willingness to evolve that encourages Leo to soften, introspect, and grow. Her adaptability allows the relationship to flow rather than stagnate, and her sensitivity adds a soulful quality to their connection that Leo often never knew he needed. Where he offers backbone, she offers soul. Where he provides structure, she brings emotional resonance. Where he builds, she enriches. Their relationship works best when they adopt a "you lead, I guide" dynamic, but this dynamic is far more sophisticated than it appears. Leo does not lead through dominance. He leads through clarity, initiative, and a natural tendency to create direction. Pisces does not guide through passivity. She guides through intuition, emotional understanding, and a subtle, almost invisible influence that shapes decisions in ways Leo often appreciates only in hindsight. This partnership becomes a dance in which both roles are vital. He sets the pace, she feels the rhythm. He charts the map, she senses the weather. Instead of competing, they complement each other. Instead of clashing, they blend into a partnership that feels organic, balanced, and deeply supportive, when both are operating from their highest selves. However, long-term harmony requires boundaries, strong, compassionate, mutually respected boundaries that prevent miscommunication from spiraling into emotional confusion. These boundaries become the protective framework that allows their love to thrive without drowning his fire or evaporating her water. Leo must learn that Pisces isn't withdrawing, she's recharging. Her need to retreat into her inner world is not a rejection or a lack of love. It is a necessity for emotional processing, healing, and grounding. She feels deeply, absorbs atmospheres, and carries the emotional weight of everything around her. When she steps back, it is not to escape Leo but to restore herself so she can return fully, generously, and authentically. Leo, whose natural instinct is direct engagement and immediate communication, must recognize that giving her this space is an act of love, not abandonment of the issue. When he learns to respect her quiet moments, rather than fearing them, he earns her trust in ways he never could through intensity alone. Pisces must learn that Leo's need for affection and recognition isn't vanity, it's emotional fuel. His desire to be appreciated is rooted in his generous heart, his acts of service, his loyalty, and his desire to make his partner feel cherished. He thrives on knowing his love is seen, valued, and meaningful. Pisces, who tends to love quietly, must understand that quiet love, though beautiful, isn't always visible to Leo. He doesn't want applause, he wants connection. He doesn't need worship, he needs acknowledgement. When Pisces learns to express her feelings more directly, through words, touch, admiration, or simple appreciation, she meets him in a place where his emotional fire burns brightest. And when she does, he becomes even more devoted, protective, and generous with his love. Both must learn that neither love style is wrong, just different. Leo's passionate expression and Pisces' gentle devotion are not opposites to overcome but complementary halves of a larger emotional truth. When they stop trying to fit one another into predefined molds, and instead begin interpreting each other's emotional languages with patience and empathy, their bond deepens into something profound. Their differences become sources of learning, not friction, sources of intimacy, not misunderstanding. Their love becomes a bridge between two emotional universes. If they commit to understanding each other, their bond becomes profound, far more profound than most expect from such differing signs. They learn to anticipate each other's needs, soothe each other's insecurities, and celebrate each other's strengths. Their emotional connection matures into a partnership built on admiration, respect, and unwavering devotion. Their differences don't weaken them, they strengthen the relationship in ways neither could achieve alone. If they ignore their differences, misunderstandings pile up like waves crashing onto flames, extinguishing passion with confusion, evaporating tenderness with resentment, and leaving behind emotional steam instead of clarity. They become lost in misinterpretations, each believing the other simply cannot understand them. But when they choose to fight for each other rather than against each other, something extraordinary happens. They create a love as radiant as sunlight dancing on the surface of the sea, warm, shimmering, deep, and endlessly renewing. Their long-term compatibility becomes not just sustainable but deeply enriching. Leo's fire warms Pisces' waters, Pisces' waters soften Leo's flames. Together they create a lifelong partnership shaped by growth, illuminated by love, and guided by a mutual devotion that defies expectations. Communication conflict resolution. This is their most fragile area, the place where their differences don't just show, they echo. Communication between a Leo man and a Pisces woman is like trying to blend two languages that share no common alphabet but somehow tell the same story when spoken with heart. It is delicate, intricate, and deeply revealing. It exposes not only their emotional habits but their emotional histories, the wounds they carry, the expectations they've learned, the ways they've survived the world before meeting each other. And because of that, this arena of their relationship can become either their greatest downfall or their most transformative strength. A Leo man is direct. His words strike like sparks, quick, intense, charged with the force of fire behind them. He doesn't just talk, he expresses. He doesn't hint, he declares. Even when he is calm, there is a natural intensity in his voice, a heat that comes from honesty rather than aggression. But when he's upset, he roars, not because he wants to hurt, but because he wants to be heard. His raised voice is not a weapon, it is a plea: see me. Answer me, meet me here. He believes communication should be clear, straightforward, dealt with now rather than later. Delayed conversations feel like emotional abandonment to him. Misunderstandings feel like disrespect. Silence feels like distance. A Pisces woman communicates indirectly. She speaks in emotion, nuance, implication, often saying more with her eyes than with her words. Her voice is gentle even when her heart is heavy. She uses metaphors instead of declarations, implications instead of commands. When she's upset, she withdraws, not because she wants to hide, but because she needs safety to process. Her silence isn't stonewalling, it's self-preservation. She feels deeply, often overwhelmingly, and conflict can hit her like a storm wave, pushing her inward, back into the quiet spaces where she can sort her feelings without the noise of confrontation. What Leo sees as avoidance, she sees as emotional survival. This mismatch can lead to conflict that neither intended. Leo may think Pisces is avoiding issues, slipping away into emotional fog, refusing to face the truth. To him, retreat feels like rejection, like she doesn't care enough to stay and fight for clarity. He misinterprets her trembling quiet as distance rather than vulnerability. And because he feels unheard, his voice grows louder, his words sharper, his presence more intense, trying to reach her, not realizing he's pushing her deeper into her shell. Pisces may feel attacked even when Leo believes he's simply being honest. His intensity, which he views as sincerity, lands on her like emotional thunder. She hears his volume, not his meaning. She feels the flames of his frustration and interprets them as anger, dominance, or disappointment. Her heart tightens, her voice softens, her body withdraws because the emotional temperature is too high for her to stand in. She sees hurt where Leo intended passion. She hears danger where Leo intended clarity. The turning point, the moment their communication transforms, is when Leo learns to soften his tone and Pisces learns to voice her feelings before they spill over. This shift is not easy, it is emotional labor on both sides. Leo must learn that strength doesn't always require intensity. Sometimes the softest voice carries the deepest truth. He must learn that volume isn't clarity, and that passion doesn't need to roar to be understood. When he slows down, lowers his tone, and speaks not from pride but from vulnerability, Pisces hears him not as fire but as warmth. She understands his intentions more clearly when the flames aren't blazing. He learns to ask, "Is this a good time to talk?" instead of insisting. He learns to listen to her pauses instead of filling them. He learns that silence can be thoughtful, not hostile. Pisces must learn that voicing her feelings is not danger, it is connection. She must learn that waiting too long to speak allows emotions to grow too large, too tangled, too overwhelming to share without tears or confusion. When she expresses her needs early, gently, plainly, she meets Leo in a space where he can understand her instead of guessing. She learns to say, "I'm not withdrawing from you, I'm overwhelmed. I just need a moment." She learns that her voice has power, that honesty can be healing, and that expressing herself doesn't jeopardize the relationship, it stabilizes it. One must listen with patience, the other must speak with clarity. Leo learns to breathe through silence. Pisces learns to trust her words. But when they find this rhythm, this balanced back and forth of expression and empathy, directness and sensitivity, communication becomes one of their greatest strengths. Leo teaches Pisces the power of expression, the beauty of being bold enough to speak truth without fear. He shows her that communication is not conflict, it is intimacy. Pisces teaches Leo the beauty of empathy, the depth revealed when one listens not with the ears but with the heart. She shows him that feelings are not weaknesses but guides, that softness can carry more truth than intensity ever could. Together, they learn that conflict isn't a battlefield, it's a dance. Sometimes he leads with courage, sometimes she guides with intuition, sometimes he speaks, sometimes she feels. And through this dance, they learn not only how to communicate with each other, but how to understand themselves. Physical intimate connection. Their physical chemistry is rich, poetic, and almost ethereal, but to truly understand the depth of what unfolds between a Leo man and a Pisces woman, you have to imagine a connection that transcends the ordinary boundaries of touch, emotion, and desire. It is not just physical attraction, though that is undeniably present from the very beginning, but an intricate weaving of energy, emotion, imagination, and instinct. Their intimate world becomes a private universe where fire and water don't extinguish each other but transform into something softer, warmer, and more profound than either has experienced with anyone else. Leo brings passion, raw, fiery, expressive, devoted. His desire is wholehearted, intentional, and unapologetically focused. When he loves physically, he does so with a certainty and presence that makes his partner feel chosen, valued, and celebrated. His passion is not careless heat, it is purposeful warmth. Every gesture carries intention, every embrace carries reassurance. He brings fire as an offering, not to consume, but to illuminate. His touch is confident, his presence commanding, his affection steady and genuine. He embodies the kind of passion that makes Pisces feel not only wanted but protected, as if his arms form a sanctuary where she can freely dissolve into emotion without fear. Pisces brings emotion, depth, surrender, intuition, and an ability to connect beyond the physical. Her intimacy is not simply an exchange of touch, it is a merging of souls. She feels with her entire being. Her gestures are soft, fluid, and expressive in ways that words cannot capture. She brings emotional richness to moments that might otherwise be simple. She senses Leo's needs before he articulates them, responding not with calculation but with instinct. She melts into affection with a sincerity that invites him to slow down, breathe, and feel the moment rather than rush through it. Her presence in intimacy is like warm water enveloping fire, soothing its extremes, softening its edges, amplifying its glow. Their intimate connection feels like a dialogue between body and soul, unspoken, fluid, deeply harmonious. It is not hurried or mechanical, it is textured, atmospheric, and emotionally charged in the most natural way. Being together does not feel like performing or impressing. Instead, it feels like discovering layers of each other that cannot be seen in daylight conversations. Intimacy for them becomes a space where their differences turn into strengths, where Leo's intensity and Pisces' softness fuse into a balanced rhythm. He ignites her desires, not through force, but through confidence, warmth, and attentive presence. His passion awakens parts of her that usually stay quiet, turning her dreamy nature into something vividly alive. With him, she feels safe enough to open fully, to express affection freely, to let the fire inside her rise without fear of it being too much or too little. He gives her the sense of being adored, not abstractly, but tangibly, undeniably, consistently. She softens his intensity. When he approaches with fire, she responds with calm. When he loves with boldness, she answers with depth. Her gentleness doesn't diminish his passion, it enriches it. She transforms his flame into something steady and glowing rather than wild and consuming. She teaches him the pleasure of slowing down, of savoring moments, of feeling rather than simply expressing. Her presence becomes a balm for his fiery heart, grounding him in emotion while inspiring him to rise into tenderness he didn't realize he possessed. He gives her confidence. Leo's admiration is luminous, and Pisces absorbs it like moonlight on water. Under his affectionate gaze, she feels more beautiful, more desired, more understood. He treats her emotions not as weaknesses but as wonders. His affirmations empower her to embrace her sensuality with a new sense of comfort. He shows her that vulnerability can be powerful, that softness can be irresistible, that her sensitivity is not something to hide but something to share. She gives him tenderness. Pisces has an intuitive understanding of emotional touch, the kind that goes beyond physical contact. She knows how to soothe him with a glance, calm him with a quiet breath, reassure him with a hand over his heart. Her tenderness softens the roar within him, replacing urgency with depth, intensity with intimacy. She wraps him in gentleness without diminishing his strength, and it is this combination, strength embraced by softness, that brings out Leo's most devoted, affectionate self. Pisces creates an atmosphere where Leo feels adored. Her romantic imagination, her ability to make spaces feel sacred, her talent for infusing moments with emotion, all of this surrounds Leo with a sense of being cherished in a way he rarely experiences. She pays attention to details, lighting, tone, touch, breath, energy. She turns intimacy into art, and Leo, who is used to being the performer, finds himself captivated by the artistry she brings. Leo creates a space where Pisces feels cherished. With him, she feels seen, safe, and held. His strong presence becomes a protective cocoon that allows her to surrender fully without hesitation. His devotion gives her permission to be vulnerable, to let her emotional currents flow freely. He grounds her fantasies, giving them shape and direction. He gives her stability, and in return, she gives him emotional depth. Their physical bond is not just satisfying, it's transformative. It changes how they understand love, how they understand themselves, how they understand each other. Each encounter strengthens the emotional thread between them, stretching it, weaving it, deepening it. Their intimacy evolves as their relationship does, growing richer, more layered, more attuned. What begins as passion turns into connection. What begins as chemistry turns into resonance. What begins as desire turns into devotion. In intimacy, they speak a language only they can understand. A language not made of words but of glances, breaths, small touches, and the emotional energy that moves between them like a tide. It is a private dialect of passion and empathy, strength and softness, fire and water. A language that grows more fluent, more eloquent, more unbreakable with time. Shared values, life goals. Surprisingly, Leo and Pisces can align beautifully in their visions for life, as long as they communicate openly, consistently, and with a willingness to understand the emotional logic behind each other's dreams. Their shared values are not obvious on the surface. One is driven by fire, ambition, and purpose, the other by emotion, intuition, and spiritual fulfillment. Yet beneath these differences lies a profound compatibility, a quiet harmony that emerges when their intentions are laid bare. Their life goals do not compete, they complete. Their values do not clash, they intertwine. And when they learn to navigate these differences with empathy instead of assumption, they discover a rare and powerful alignment that supports both practical stability and emotional richness. Leo values loyalty, ambition, stability, and a life filled with purpose and achievement. His vision for the future is shaped by his desire to build something lasting, a career, a family, a legacy, or at the very least, a life that feels meaningful through accomplishments he can be proud of. For Leo, success is not vanity, it is expression, proof of effort, a testament to the strength and commitment he pours into everything he does. Loyalty is sacred to him, the non-negotiable core of any partnership. Stability is not monotony, it's security, the firm ground on which he stands so he can reach higher. Purpose fuels him, giving his days structure and his actions direction. Without clear goals, Leo feels unanchored. With them, he shines. Pisces values emotional security, spiritual connection, creativity, and peace. Her vision for life is not measured in achievements but in experiences, not in milestones but in moments. For Pisces, the quality of her inner world matters as much as the structure of her outer one. Emotional security is her foundation, the sense of being loved, accepted, and safe enough to express her true self. Spiritual connection gives her life meaning, whether through relationships, art, intuition, or simply the feeling of being aligned with her own soul. Creativity is not a hobby but a life philosophy, a way of seeing and reshaping the world. Peace is essential. Chaos drains her, and harmony restores her. Without emotional fulfillment, Pisces feels lost. With it, she flourishes. Together, they build a life that blends their worlds in a way that is richer, fuller, and more balanced than either could create alone. Leo brings the outward structure, Pisces brings the inward meaning. Leo builds walls, roofs, and foundations, figuratively and literally. Pisces fills those spaces with warmth, beauty, and heart. He provides the direction. She provides the purpose behind the direction. He pushes them forward. She reminds them why they're moving at all. Leo creates a strong foundation. His strength gives their shared life durability. He ensures their future is secure, stable, and resilient. His ambition gives them opportunities. His confidence opens doors. His determination keeps them progressing even in moments of uncertainty. He becomes the backbone of the partnership, offering consistency and protection in ways that allow Pisces to relax, breathe, and trust the journey. Pisces fills that foundation with meaning. She transforms the space Leo builds into a home, emotionally, spiritually, creatively. She adds softness where he adds structure, depth where he adds height, stillness where he adds fire. She brings inspiration, perspective, and emotional understanding. She ensures that their life together is not just constructed but lived, not just efficient but beautiful. She nurtures the emotional ecosystem that supports Leo's growth and softens his edges. Leo pursues goals with courage. He reaches out, pushes forward, takes risks, and faces challenges with a boldness that inspires Pisces. His bravery becomes a guiding force in their partnership. He leads with intention, showing Pisces what is possible when fear doesn't dictate decisions. His pursuit of goals is not selfish ambition, it's devotion, an attempt to build a better life for both of them. Pisces ensures those goals enrich the soul, not just the wallet. She helps Leo slow down long enough to ask, why this goal? For whom, at what cost, and what will it bring us emotionally? She keeps him from burning out, losing himself, or chasing success at the expense of peace. She redirects him gently when his goals become too external, reminding him that true fulfillment comes from inner alignment as much as external achievement. She becomes the compass that keeps his direction meaningful. Both value love, loyalty, and emotional closeness, but they express these values differently. Leo expresses love through action, physical presence, and bold devotion. Pisces expresses love through empathy, emotional sensitivity, and subtle gestures. Leo demonstrates loyalty by standing firm and defending the relationship fiercely. Pisces demonstrates loyalty by offering unwavering emotional support and intuitive understanding. For both, closeness is essential, but Leo seeks closeness through togetherness, while Pisces seeks closeness through emotional resonance. When they synchronize their priorities, their shared life becomes a beautiful mixture of passion and serenity. They build not just a future, but a world, one where ambition is softened by compassion, where dreams are supported by stability, where emotions are grounded by practicality, and where both partners feel seen, valued, and understood. Their life goals may begin on separate pages, but with communication, patience, and mutual devotion, they eventually merge into a single story, a story filled with purpose, beauty, balance, and a love that grows deeper with every year. Final thoughts. A Leo man and a Pisces woman are not an obvious pair, but they are a powerful one. And to understand just how powerful, you have to look beyond simple zodiac descriptions and into the emotional architecture of who they become when they choose to love one another. On the surface, they appear mismatched: the bold fire sign and the gentle water sign, the roaring lion and the dreaming mermaid. Yet beneath that contrast lies an extraordinary, transformative potential that only awakens when they step into each other's worlds without fear. What begins as intrigue grows into growth. What begins as contrast becomes complement. What begins as difference transforms into depth. They are two opposite elements that, when balanced, create something rare and compelling. Fire and water are not easy companions. They require intention, awareness, and care to coexist without extinguishing or overwhelming each other. But when harmony is achieved, the result is extraordinary: steam, warmth, movement, transformation. Their love is the meeting of courage and compassion, fire and water, strength and intuition. Leo brings fearlessness, Pisces brings feeling. He pushes, she flows. He shines, she softens. Together they form a union where passion has depth and tenderness has direction. Leo helps Pisces rise, Pisces helps Leo evolve. In their union, bravery learns empathy and sensitivity learns courage. They grow through each other. Leo expands emotionally in the presence of Pisces' softness. Her intuitive understanding teaches him to look beyond his impulses and listen to the quiet truths beneath the surface. Her sensitivity becomes a mirror in which he confronts the emotional layers he often overlooks. And Pisces grows through Leo's strength. His confidence becomes her anchor. His stability becomes her shelter. His boldness becomes the spark that ignites her creativity and encourages her to step out of her comfort zone. Their love stretches them in the best ways, helping them shed old fears, heal old wounds, and develop emotional skills they couldn't learn alone. They transform each other. Leo becomes more attuned, more introspective, more emotionally aware. He learns gentleness not as a weakness but as a form of strength. He becomes more intentional in the way he speaks, acts, and loves. Pisces becomes more grounded, more expressive, more empowered. She learns to stand her ground without losing her softness. She becomes more confident in voicing needs and embracing challenges. Together they evolve into fuller, richer versions of themselves, still entirely themselves, but expanded by each other's influence. They heal each other. Pisces soothes the parts of Leo that burn too hot, the pride that sometimes masks insecurity, the urgency that sometimes hides fear. Her calm waters give him space to breathe, reflect, and heal from emotional burdens he rarely admits he carries. Leo protects the parts of Pisces that feel too deeply, the wounds left by insensitivity, abandonment, or misunderstanding. His steadfast presence becomes the comfort she didn't know she needed, the reassurance that her heart is safe with someone strong enough to protect it. Their bond becomes a sanctuary where both can unravel and rebuild without judgment. This relationship requires understanding, patience, and commitment, but the reward is immense. Their love is not effortless, but it is worth every moment of effort. It is not simple, but it is profoundly meaningful. They must learn each other's emotional languages, rhythms, triggers, and needs. They must embrace compromise as collaboration, not sacrifice. They must choose each other not just in calm moments but especially in complicated ones. And when they do, they discover a connection that isn't just romantic, it's transformational. A relationship that doesn't just satisfy, it elevates. If they choose each other fully, they can be unforgettable, not just to each other, but to anyone who witnesses the kind of love they build, a love that defies logic, transcends difference, and proves that sometimes the most unlikely matches create the most breathtaking connections.